so we've got someone in Peru. Mario, welcome. New York, Malaysia, 1 a.m. Wow, Ian is joining us at 1 a.m. That is dedication. Oh, so is Nash. Wow, lots of 1 a.m.s. So 1 a.m. is the time to beat. 6 p.m. Easy. 10:30, not bad, not bad. Very dedicated. 12, South Korea. 2 a.m. in Korea. Wow. Thank you all so much for joining us and for staying awake, assuming you're not a night owl, for staying awake and joining us to kick off the hackathon. I hope we'll make it worth your time. Today, we've got a couple of things to go through. We're going to launch, we're going to go through everything that you need to know to get started. And then we're going to have a workshop on the introduction to observability and evaluation. I am just waiting. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to see it in chat because we've got lots and lots going on to check that our speaker, Abby, is rejoining us. And then once that's confirmed, we'll get started. In the meantime, please do utilize the Q&A function if you have any questions that you want answered in the session today. Hopefully, you're going to come away from the workshop, or the launch event and the workshop, with everything that you need to know to get started. But if we do miss anything, put it in the Q&A and we'll make sure that it gets answered. If not here live, then in the Discord. Also, bearing in mind, I know we're going to have people joining us from Luma as well as people who've already registered for the hackathon. But it's really important if you are joining us from Luma that now you're on the Encode Club platform, welcome, you register for the hackathon as well so that you get all of the hackathon emails, all the updates, access to all the resources, and everything that you need to know in order to participate. Once this session is finished, then you can go into your programs page and register there. Just a few quick registration questions, and then you'll be good to go. And I'll show you a quick demo at the end as well. The recording will be available later, Harisai. So those of you, if you kind of drift off at around 2:30 a.m., I don't blame you. And you can rewatch it in the platform, which I will show you after at the end of the session today. Yeah. So Abby is back. Abby, if you could put a message in chat and just let us know that everything is all good. And we're going to get started going through all the core information, all the logistics for the hackathon before handing over. I am going to share my screen. Ooh. And hopefully you can all see it now loaded nicely for you. Now I can no longer see the chat. I'll kind of scroll back every now and then, but for all intents and purposes, I can't see the chat while I'm looking at the PowerPoint. So please, I will try to get to your comments and questions, but I will save them all till the end and we'll get through all this in one big session. Cool. Welcome to the Commit to Change AI Agent Hackathon. It is January 2026. Somehow we're already halfway through January, which is crazy. And I will get to the stats later on how many people have already given up on their New Year's resolutions. But the aim of this hackathon is for you to build AI that turns New Year's resolutions into real results. I would actually like to know in chat, or maybe with some reactions, how many of you have already given up on those New Year's resolutions that you set 13 days ago? Because I will tell you, I set 5 and I've already given up on 2 of them. So it's a real problem. I know it happens. I don't blame you. I'm admitting to my own mistakes. But hopefully out of this hackathon, we're going to get some really cool projects that mean that either you pick back up your New Year's resolutions or next year you're ready to go again hard and make it through the whole year and maintain for the rest of your life. So what we're here to do today is launch the hackathon and then have an introduction to observability and evaluation, which will set you up really nicely for the workshops that we have following tomorrow and on Thursday, introducing you to OPIC and what you can use it for within your apps. First of all, if you are new to Encode Club, which I'm sure a lot of you are because we have people joining from the Comet community, we are a community of founders, developers, all the people looking to learn and build in the emerging tech space. We run educational programs online mainly, designed to help you on whatever journey you're on in tech, whether you've been building for years or if this is your first time doing a hackathon, welcome and good luck. Um, this is the community to be in for all things education and tech. We run hackathons, boot camps, accelerators, and we have the best community for people who are like yourselves. That is all our online stuff. We also have, from within the last year, a London hub, which is the place to immerse yourself in the London emerging tech scene. And we run lots of in real life events, one day events, also hackathons going over weekends and events like that. So if you are based in the UK, if you're based in London, then it's definitely worth checking out what we're doing here at the hub, because it might be a place for you. So going on to the hackathon, I want to thank our main sponsors, and that is Comet, who we will meet some of the team throughout this week. They will be telling you more about the tool OPIC, and the aims of the hackathon. And I also want to thank our supporting partners. So we have Vercel and Google DeepMind. As a quick overview of the hackathon, hopefully you've all read the description for what you've signed up for, but if you haven't, this is a 4-week online hackathon. There are learning and building opportunities within the hackathon and up to $30,000 in prizes, which is, of course, very, very exciting. The aim of the game, the Commit to the Commit to Change hackathon, has challenges asking you to build AI agents and LLM powered apps that help people stick to their goals. So I said I had some stats. We're 13 days into January now, so about halfway, maybe a week and just under 2 weeks into January. And already 23% of people have given up on their New Year's resolutions. I am one of those people. So I can't frown on the statistic. So 23% of people already done. 43% of people are going to have given up by the end of January. So your core audience, the people that you need to help the most, are that 20% of people who haven't given up yet. Well, it's probably a bit more than that because we're over a week through. But let's say for the sake of my analogy, the 20% of people who haven't given up yet but are close to giving up by the end of January, that is the core audience that you should be looking at getting the attention of for the products that you're going to build. The best advice that I can give you on how to come up with the product idea that you're going to run with for the hackathon is to start with a problem that you yourself have faced. So whether it's the New Year's resolution that you set yourself last year and didn't succeed with, whether it's something you've seen your friends and family struggling with, whether it's something that you've seen posted on Twitter every other week because people want to start going to the gym consistently, but they always give up, or because people every now and then complain about wanting to start a, I don't know, health and wellness journey, but always losing momentum and giving up. Whatever it is, focus on a problem that you can understand well and then come up with a solution that sets you apart from everyone else. So what's important about the hackathon is you don't just do the bare minimum base idea, you build on top of it and you build something interesting and unique that sets you apart so that the judges cannot not award you a prize. That being said, the hackathon tracks are covering 5 areas that your projects can, the kind of themes that your projects can cover. So our first theme is productivity and work habits. This is asking you to build tools that help people work smarter and build better routines. We have the personal growth and learning category, which is asking you to build apps that help people learn new skills or develop some kind of self-awareness. We have the social and community impact category, which is asking you to build tools for organizing communities or supporting environmental action. I'm sure other community action projects, animal rights, human rights would also fall under this category. We have the health, fitness, and wellness category, which for me, I think this is the resolution that I see the most people setting at the start of the year, whether that's to do with eating healthier or working out more. This is the one that the most people set and the most people give up on. I'm a real January gym hater because I think everyone starts going to the gym in January and it's an awful place to be until at least February 1st when half the people have given up. And then it's much nicer, much emptier. So this health, fitness, and wellness category asks you to build solutions for fitness routines, mental well-being, or mental health, or just general well-being. And then lastly, we have the financial health category, which asks you to build an AI or LLM app for budgeting, saving, or understanding money better. So the categories that your apps could cover are very, very broad. Hopefully, any idea that you come up with could fall into one of these categories realistically. One thing that I will suggest is you should focus on one category rather than trying to build an app that spans multiple, because this will allow you to really focus hard on that one theme instead of spreading yourself thin. An app that does one thing really well is much better than an app that does four things but less well. So you want to stand out to the judges, focus on one thing, and do that really, really, really well. There is also, of course, an overall challenge in this hackathon, thanks to our sponsors, Comet, and that is for the best use of OPIC, which, if you don't already know about OPIC, you will learn about this week. So don't worry. This special category is for projects that showcase excellent evaluation and observability. The best use of OPIC category is available for anyone to win alongside a hackathon, a theme. So you can win the best financial health app and the best use of OPIC. These are the only categories that you can win, both like two in one. Every other challenge, you can only win maximum one of them. So that is, again, why I suggest you focus on one theme rather than trying to spread yourself out over multiple. Here is a timeline of the hackathon. We are in week 1, of course. We are launching the hackathon today, and then we have a series of workshops that are going to help you get started. This week, if you haven't already started, you should be in the ideation stage of your project. So that is deciding what project you want to build, what theme you want to focus on, what solution you're going to come up with, and what makes it special, what's going to make you stand out. At the end of this week, we have what is called the project creation deadline, which is asking you to create and commit to the project that you're building, meaning the kind of rough idea, the challenge that you're going for, so which theme you're focusing on, and adding your team members. All these details you can change after this deadline, but this deadline is put in place to keep you on track, make sure that you're making decisions early on and getting ready to set yourself up well for the following weeks. Because in week 2, if you haven't already, you should be starting your building process. So, in this week, we also will have a workshop hosted by Google DeepMind on how to best utilize Gemini 3. So, for those of you who have been playing around with LLMs already, and maybe a lot of you have already used Gemini and Google AI, the Google AI workspace, you will have an opportunity to learn from the people working at Google DeepMind on how best to utilize Gemini 3. So this is going to be a really interesting workshop in week 2 as we start the building process. And then towards the end of week 2 and the start of week 3, we have what is called the mid hackathon deadline. Again, this submission is not a final submission. You're not going to be judged on it, but it's designed to keep you on track and make sure that you're thinking ahead to the future. So, to your future final submission and making sure you're going to stand out. So, you don't want to leave that till the very last minute. The mid hackathon deadline is designed to prevent that. What you're going to be asked for is your GitHub repo publicly available so that judges are able to review it. This forces you to make commits before 2 days before the deadline, which is always a very strange thing to see as a judge, because how has someone committed 100,000 lines of code in one go? That's extremely bad coding. What's it called? Not ethics. It's just not very good. I've completely blanked on the word. Just don't do that. The mid hackathon deadline asks you to submit your GitHub repo, so you should be making commits from the very start, and also asks you to submit a fuller description of what you're building, because this should be clear to you by this point. And then we have the final submission deadline, which is what I will go through on the next slide, because it's important that you know now going into the hackathon what it is that you need to submit. We have a few submission requirements. You need to submit a video pitch. This is going to be the first thing that the judges will hear about your project from. So, this video pitch needs to present yourself amazingly. This needs to capture their attention immediately. It should include a product demo. But the main idea is to get across what is the problem that you're solving, what is your solution, why does it stand apart from every other solution that's tried to solve this problem before, unless it's a very unique problem, which of course is another way to stand out. We will be sharing resources on how to pitch well and how to plan your pitch so that you do stand out and you deliver your message well. So, this is one of the requirements for the hackathon submission. You are required to submit your public code base, which you should have already shared the link for in the mid submission deadline. You should have a hosted site, ideally, that the judges can click through, but this is optional along with the presentation, which is also optional but highly recommended because forming a presentation and putting words from your brain onto a screen and designing them to look nice will help you in creating your video pitch and make sure that you're getting all the core messaging across. The presentation and the hosted site, you can use AI, of course, to help you create. That being said, I would not suggest using AI to create your entire video pitch. Just as a personal preference, having been involved in lots of judging processes, um, if you hear too many AI generated videos, like the kind of AI slop you see online, it can be quite soul destroying. So you don't want to destroy the judge's soul when they're viewing your project because that's not going to make you stand out in a positive way. So I would not suggest using AI to generate your video. Personal preference, maybe some judges like it, but that's just my advice. More of that will come later in the hackathon for how you can stand out. The deadline for the final submissions is going to be the 8th of February at 1 minute to midnight. The time zone that we use for all these deadlines is UTC minus 12. What that means is if it's still before midnight anywhere in the world, literally anywhere, then you can still submit. On your hackathon page, you're going to have a countdown, which will be more accurate for you to be able to tell the deadline for your local time zone. But just bear in mind, if it's still before midnight somewhere, you can still submit, you still have time. So that's generally how we keep it fair for everyone. We don't want anyone to get less time than others. Keep an eye out on the countdown to make sure that you're not late. Also, don't submit 3 minutes before and then realize that you didn't actually press submit and then all your hard work has gone to waste. It's a terrible way to end a hackathon and probably should be a New Year's resolution to procrastinate less. Maybe someone can come up with an idea that helps fix that problem. That being said, the Encode platform is going to be your home for the hackathon. It's where everything is going to be found. All the information that you need in order to get started is on the platform. You are joining us from on the platform now. I am on your screen in the Encode Club platform. And you can definitely go around and click through all the pages after this call. Don't leave us yet. But I will give you a quick walkthrough of what you need to do after you end this call. This is the creating your project. This is what you do to create your project, commit to your idea, and add your team members. I've been getting lots and lots of emails about how you can join a team. You can see this join team code option and the join code that is created when you create your project. Just to show again here, oh, oopsie, let's go back. Oh gosh. This is the public hackathon page, and then to open your private hackathon page, you just press open program, and that will take you to your personal hackathon page, which is where all your submissions will be done. All your data and information should be kept. If you are joining us directly from Luma, you can go to this page after, and where it says registered on the screen here, you can just register yourself, and you'll be accepted instantly. So please do that. Make sure you'll also then be getting the email updates, so you won't miss anything. Next up is the lecture section of the platform. We have a series of helpful videos that you should definitely work your way through in order to prepare yourself for not only the remaining workshops this week, but also for the wider hackathon. The lecture videos are short and they have some questions associated with them just to check that you're paying attention. They're not compulsory. You don't need to watch them in order to submit for the hackathon, but they will be very, very, very useful. So why give yourself a disadvantage? It shouldn't take too much of your time and it will set you up really nicely. So you can find those on your internal page in the platform there. The other things on the platform are all of the events. So if you are joining us here from Luma, you can find the links to the rest of the events on this page. You can find all the Hackathon Challenge descriptions, including more detailed descriptions on each of the categories, and you can find all of the partner resources. The important ones to check out are the Comet developer documentation and the quick start guide for OPIC. These things will also be talked about in the workshops towards the end of the week, or midweek and towards the end of the week. But it's definitely worth clicking through all of the links as well yourself to see what resources are available to you. There are also some resources linked in the challenge description related to ideas and other kind of resources that you can use, like how to get Gemini credits and Vercel credits using the free tiers, what is available to you basically. That being said, that is a quick stop guide to everything that you should need to know to get started in the hackathon. We have Abby joining us to come and deliver the intro to observability and evaluation next. Abby, if you want to unmute, we can check you're able to. Can you see and hear us?
I can see you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Amazing. If it's all right with you, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand over for the intro to observability and evaluation. And then I'm going to go through the chat, which has been popping off while I've been switched away from the screen. And I'll make a note of all the stuff we need to go through at the end to get all the questions answered. Does that sound good?
Amazing. Great.
Okay, cool. I will stop my share and I will hand over to you.
Perfect. Welcome, everybody. It's so excited to finally see you all here. We've been talking a lot about this hackathon all month, maybe even more than a month. And I'm really excited to see it get started and to see what everyone builds, to get to know you all. I will be available in the Discord channel to help answer questions. So feel free to find me there and seek me out and ask me anything you can, and hopefully I can give you an answer. So I will start it off with today's talk track is an intro to AI evaluations, which is obviously fitting for this hackathon because it's sponsored by OPIC. OPIC is brought to you by Comet, which is the company I work for. And let me see if I can get this up on the screen. Let's see, here we go. See, can you all see the slideshow, the presentation?
Yeah, looks good.
All right, perfect. Okay, great. So this is going to be Intro to AI Evals. Once again, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here today. This is meant really to give you just like a brief introduction to what AI evals are and how you should start thinking about them as you start to build your project. So a lot of times people don't think about them till the very end of the process, but it will make your life a whole lot easier if you start thinking about them from the beginning, even if you don't have them completely built out or a really complicated system right from the beginning. Most folks don't right at the beginning, but if you just start to think about them, think about what success looks like for your application, and how you might test for success. So that's really the purpose of this this session, is to just get you to start thinking about those things. We will have additional sections, particularly on how to get started with OPIC, and then if it's helpful, we can do more sessions that go deeper into AI evals, maybe some like AI eval specific metrics, how to build custom evals, things like that, how to build sort of a spectrum of eval metrics that cover your full definition of what success looks like. Those are things we can do down the line. This is just going to be more of an introduction. So first, just a little bit about me. My name is Abby. I'm an AI research engineer and developer advocate at Comet. Comet is the company that brings you OPIC, which is the host of this hackathon. So you'll be seeing a lot about OPIC. OPIC is an open source LLM observability and evaluation tool. We launched about a year ago. We're super excited at how quickly it's gained traction. I think it's just really taken off, and I think it goes to show how useful and important um, the evaluation process is during development and building. And I'm really excited to see what you all build with it. So let's dive in. I wanted to start off with sort of a big why behind this presentation. Why are we even talking about AI evaluations anyways? So I'm going to start by just saying the quiet part out loud straight off the bat, which is that evaluations can seem pretty boring. LLMs and AI agents are super exciting pieces of technology. Suddenly we can start to build things that felt impossible even just a year ago. So it's really tempting to just focus on shipping AI agents and agentic systems and all the cool things that they can do. But the truth is that this exciting new field is beginning to mature beyond just proof of concepts and sort of toy projects. And folks are starting to think about putting these systems into production. And once you AI evals are what turn that sort of really cool, fun prototype into a system that you can actually iterate on with confidence, um, and start to think about exposing to the real world and to real people, which obviously has much bigger implications than just sort of a toy project. So at the end of the day, what's even cooler than a really cool prototype is, in my opinion, a cool tool that you can actually use in the real world on real data. And for that, you need some sort of system of evaluations. And OPIC makes that a whole lot easier for you. And we will get into how. So before we talk about why we evaluate, I think it's also just important to define what an evaluation actually is. In short, an evaluation is going to be some sort of a structured measurement of a system behavior against a criteria that we care about. So that sounds really simple, but sometimes the hardest part of creating an evaluation is just figuring out what is the criteria that we care about to begin with, right? What defines our vision of success or our application's vision of success? And that's why I think it's really important to start thinking about this right from the beginning as you start to build these apps. What is the purpose of your app? What does success look like for you? What does failure look like for you? What could potential failure modes look like? I mean, different failure modes could look very different, and they're not always going to result in an error message or in an incomplete LLM or agentic call. They could look like harmful or toxic content. It could look like um, an output was successfully generated, but it's the incorrect um, output. It could look like if you're creating, for example, a customer service chatbot, a failure mode could look like just the wrong tone or the wrong look for your brand. So there's lots of different ways to define success criteria, and it's good to start thinking about those things early on. So unpacked, the definition of an evaluation is a structured way to measure something, in our situation, an AI system's behavior, against defined criteria on representative tasks to support decisions and improve your product development. So to unpack that, structure just means something that is repeatable and explicit. So an evaluation is something we can run today. We can also run it next week and the week after that, and we can interpret the differences along the way. Behavior refers to just what the system is doing in a certain context. So yeah, that could be responses. We could be evaluating tool calls. We could be evaluating instances where the LLM refuses to answer. We could be evaluating latency or cost, which are incredibly important in real world applications. But there's a lot of different facets of um, sort of what behavior can mean. And then lastly, by criteria, we're just talking about how we predefine success, which is sort of what I keep coming back to. It could be accuracy, helpfulness, safety, faithfulness. It could, and in many cases, it can and will be product specific outcomes. So not even any of these out of the box metrics or concepts, but something very specific to your situation, a very specific failure mode that you notice in your application, given your criteria for success. Um, and usually an evaluation is, or usually your evaluation is going to be a system. It's going to be a set of many evaluation metrics, again, that all contribute to an overall definition of success. So those individual metrics will be in some way aggregated into sort of an overall success score. Some of the elements or ingredients that most good evaluations have are going to be a target. So your evaluation is going to have some concept of like what capability or outcome we're testing. Is our target going to be like factual QA? Is it going to be tool use? Are we targeting customer support resolution? Are we targeting, toxicity? It's also going to include um, some test set or task test set, which would just be examples that represent the real world, including edge cases. And of course, it's impossible to include every single edge case, as we'll talk about a little bit more in some coming slides, because LLMs and agents are non-deterministic systems. So we can't include every single edge case, but we do want a pretty good representation of real world examples, including some outliers. A good evaluation is going to have some sort of a scoring method. This could be a metric, this could be a rubric, this could be a human or LLM-based judge. So some of you may have heard of LLM as a judges. They have their pros and their cons, just like any other evaluation metric, and you may choose to use them and you may not. And included in the scoring method is just how scores are aggregated. So as I mentioned before, a lot of times you'll have many individual evaluation metrics assessing very specific qualities of your application. So included in the scoring method is just that concept of how you ultimately aggregate those individual scores. It could be as simple as a math equation or a voting system. It could be a little bit more complicated, like using an LLM to take all the various input and make a decision for you. That's obviously a little bit less transparent and less explainable, but in some cases that would be appropriate. And then the fourth main ingredient to a good evaluation is going to be some sort of a decision rule. So once we get the result from that scoring method, what are we going to do with that result? Are we going to, if we were testing, for instance, a new feature for our product, are we going to ship that new feature? Are we going to roll it back? Are we going to retrain? And the decision rule generally will include some sort of a threshold or a comparison to a baseline. So the decision rule may be something like if the uh, if the success rate improves by at least 20%, then ship it. That's very, very simple, obviously, but just a basic example. So just to reiterate, the four ingredients for most good evaluations are just that you're going to have a target that you're testing, so some sort of target quality. You're going to have test sets and tasks that represent the real world, including edge cases. You're going to have some sort of a scoring method, could be numeric, could be natural language, as well as a way of aggregating individual scores into a final score. And lastly, you're going to have a decision rule, which is what you do with those scores. Are you going to, based on the scores that you got back from your evaluations, are you going to ship your change? Are you going to roll back? Are you going to keep working on it? And yeah, so that's basically the four main components of a good evaluation. But it is also important to remember that evaluations are not just a number. The most useful